Whew, okay, welcome. This is the Body Count Report for Tuesday, September the 26th, 2017, and I need to start with the ADAR terror attack. This is a very sad story. Just to let you know what this is, if this is your first time, the Body Count Report is where I look at real news stories from around the world, not hashtag take the knee. It's not people aren't dying for that. That is just people being offended. Around the world, though, there are some pretty grisly situations, things that could blow up into worse situations, and that's what I look at. I look at life or death situations around the world. So I have two links to stories about the ADAR terror attacks. I'll try to put in another link that I saw in passing today from Ynet News about the subject, talking about how it's a tragic but local situation, meaning Israel has bigger problems, and it's not indicative of a larger network, that it was a lone, essentially what we say here in America, a lone wolf terror attack. So very interesting situation there. Please check the links I have. One is a local link there from Israel, from Jerusalem Post, and the other one is from Irish Times, so that you can sort of see the international view of the story. And I mean, you can see it just in the headlines, because Israel calls it Gaza, Irish Times says Gaza and Israel says ADAR, because it's the difference between local and foreign coverage. So very sad, very interesting situation. Let's move to the Philippines, shall we? I like my acronyms. I love the Philippines. I love the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or the AFP, but I've been very interested in following the conflicts in the Philippines, like with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, and there has been a very interesting story with the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, or BIFF, bomber arrested in North Cotabato. I can say it when the camera's not running. Whenever the camera's running, it's Cotabato. When the camera's not running, it's Cotabato, which is what it is. Anyway, moving along, interesting story, link in the description. One of a BIFF bomber arrested, so check that out. Let's see here. NPA, the New People's Army. The New People's Army, bomb experts, 9 of them have surrendered. So that's an interesting story. Check that out, because I like it when people get along. Also, when you're making bombs, you're not making friends. Okay, NPA. So this is a good move. All right, this is a good move. Good move on surrendering, because that's bad. You want to get along with your neighbors. Don't bomb your neighbors, okay? New People's Army. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I really am absolutely fascinated by this situation over there, and following the saga and how people interact. I mean, the story yesterday, for Monday's thing about the NPA gunmen versus the militiamen there. I mean, it's incredible to see a place where life and death really is on the line, and in a very organized and polite way, where there's scuffles with the military and militia groups against rogue communist militia groups, and then get lost in it. Check it out. It really puts things in perspective, because we when we're focusing just on what upsets you and not what's actually life or death with a species, it makes your world tiny and angry. When you look at stories like this, where a bomber can be arrested and 9 bomb experts can surrender to authorities, it makes the world kind of bigger and interesting and colorful and maybe nice sometimes. All right, moving along. We have a sad story out of Iraq, but there's some reasoning behind it. I kind of get the reasoning, but I'm frustrated because I'd like the thought of a free Kurdistan. Free Kurdistan would mean it could be a beacon and a refugee place for other Kurds, like Kurds who are, currently ethnic minority in Turkey. Now, they could essentially be refugees in their own land. They could move to their own land if Iraq was allowing the Kurds to make their own country. But Iraq rejects the referendum vote to become their own country, basically saying, if we let you guys be your own country, well, the Sunnis are going to want to be their own country. Iraq is a country that is predominantly Shia, so they're afraid that if the Kurds, which are an indigenous people, are allowed to separate from Iraq, then basically the other ethnic minority of Iraqi Sunnis will also want to leave, and it could lead to another Iraqi civil war, which is something we were part of, basically, with the past 15 years. So, yeah, I don't know. They might be right. I just would like to see more autonomy for them. Perhaps they could have a situation where they govern themselves in a pseudo-autonomous fashion. I like the thought of Kurdistan. Whatever. Moving on, we're going to keep an eye on that situation. It is a life or death situation for some Kurds in the area, but at the moment it is just a big ball of potential to go a bunch of different directions, and the Iraqi government is trying to keep it going a peaceful direction. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that story. Now, we're going to move to Myanmar now. Let's just pack our bags, head to Myanmar. We got to talk about this. The Thursday episode last week with Peter Sellers as our guest. We talked about this. We talked about the Myanmar crisis, and we looked at it from different angles, and we were trying to guess Myanmar's game plan here. What are they doing? And he threw out maybe it was a land grab. That's how some of the news is looking at it. And turns out very recently that we've started seeing news articles where they're saying, hey, Myanmar's side of the story is they were stepping in to Rohingya conflict, meaning the Rohingyas actually aren't just Muslims, which is what I thought for a while there, but no, they're Muslims and Hindus, and the Muslims were killing the Hindus. So the Myanmar people are stepping in and stopping this conflict, and of course the Muslims then start fighting them. They fight back, and after they've secured some of the area, they're finding mass graves of Hindus being killed by the Rohingya Muslims. So this story kind of hits that, that's what was going on. Because, I'm sorry, but when Peter was trying to find stories on Myanmar, what he ended up finding was a bunch of like, Myanmar's a wonderful place to go for tourism. It's beautiful there. Check it out, gorgeous place, love it. Don't go to Thailand. Go to Myanmar instead. And of course the leader is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. So it was like, yeah, okay, I'm supposed to believe that this tourist destination that is now peaceful, run by a Nobel Peace Prize winning leader, is just indiscriminately murdering people for no reason, which is what the news story was. The news story was exactly that. It was Myanmar bad. Myanmar bad. Just that. That's it. That's the whole story. Myanmar bad. Myanmar is doing bad things and they're murdering everyone. When the Myanmar side of the story is not being heard at all, and then we find out that the Rohingyas were not as a people, but elements of the Rohingya population were murdering Hindus, or so it seems. Maybe we'll find out now that the Hindus were actually trying to exterminate the Rohingya population. Jiminy Christmas. I just hope that this leads people to, and link in the description, India Times reporting, and if I can dig it up again, there was also a Jerusalem Post story on the same subject that I found from yesterday. So I will try to dig those up and make sure those are shoved into the link list. But yeah, very complex situation. I really hope this helps people go, maybe, just maybe, take a deep breath before jumping to conclusions and before going like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever, it's mass genocide, it's the worst, it's this and that. Maybe take a breath. Maybe try to see both sides. Especially, as I pointed out in the body count report last week, when one of the Muslim leaders who is standing up for the human rights crisis in there, speaking up, is Ayatollah Khamenei. It's my very professional behavior there. Yeah, no, I don't care what Ayatollah Khamenei has to say. This is a guy who calls for the destruction of countries and the deaths of people, and approves the rape of women in Evin prison. This is a disgusting person. So I'm not going to go, oh, what does Ayatollah Khamenei have to say about this? Oh, thank you, good Imam. No. Come on. That was Irish Times reporting with that. So, honestly, I was so infuriated by the ridiculous reporting. Just straight face. Muslim leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Ridiculous. Anyway, we now see there are some darker sides of the story. There are some shades to this story. There are some elements, some layers upon layers. Very interesting. I'm glad we covered that. There's another story that I found. I think that'll be in there for the 27th, though. This is, I love finding layers upon layers stories, but I'm always conflicted about putting them in the body count report, because the body count report is supposed to be just for life or death situations, just for people fighting for or losing their lives around the world, and not for, interest pieces and stuff like that. But sometimes I do find stuff that I want to include in there, and I'll try to couch it in a way. But now I think I'll need to just start a whole nother thing I do with this channel where I'll talk about those sorts of stories, because that doesn't fit this motif, and I want to stay in this motif while I'm talking about this, because these stories are complex enough without trying to introduce other stories that are just interesting and not necessarily life or death. All right. This has been Sully for Antisocial News Body Count Report. If I have enlightened you to anything, I think I've earned a like and a subscribe. If you didn't like it, if you disliked it, you know what? I've earned a reaction from you. So go ahead and dislike it. Let me know why. Or just dislike it and wander off into the darkness. But I do feel like I've earned a subscription if you have not already subscribed and I enlightened you to a news story that you did not know about. If you would like to enlighten me to news stories that I do not know about, please comment them or chime in on the Discord. The Discord server is in the description of this video. There's also an email address. You can email me. Discord's going to be the best way to do it. And we'll have a chat there. So, this is Sully for antisocialnews.com. And stay safe out there, everybody. Click the link on the screen to subscribe.